This is a very important concept for you and me to understand, and I want to tie it into what we were talking about before. If we can understand what the impact of the regulation is to the businesses, then we can spot where their weak points might be, and these provide new opportunities to disrupt an industry. Now let's take a look at the history of Juul. Juul's founding story goes back to 2005, where Adam Bowen and James were doing a product design class at Stanford. They were two former cigarette smokers, and they wanted to build a device that allowed them to smoke on campus without being judged. They created an e-cigarette device called Plume, which got renamed to the Pax Vaporizer, which was used to smoke loose leaf tobacco and cannabis, and they sold the company before founding Juul in 2015. In 2015, they built an e-cigarette using a disposable cartridge system. The product was marketed as an alternative to smoking with small amounts of nicotine. And the way that they differentiated the e-cigarette product to cigarettes is they played to their strengths. Cigarettes were really harsh, they smelt bad, they made your clothes smell bad, they irritated your throat. So they created a device which had less throat irritation and it didn't make your clothes stink. And they designed it like an iPhone because their target market was tech millennials. They created a sleek aluminium body with a slide-in pod and paired it with flavors like mint, apple, and creme brulee. They introduced the product to market in 2015 and they did 2.2 million in sales. In 2016, they did 16.2 million in sales. And in 2017, they did 244 million in revenue after just 3 years of operating. By the end of 2018, they had a market share in the US of 76%. This is the investor's dream and what you would refer to as pure venture growth. They created a tagline called Juuling, which named the movement that they were creating. And they started to double down on this strategy. In 2018, they raised 650 million, giving it a valuation of 15 billion. Later in 2016, Altria one of the largest tobacco companies, purchased 35% of Juul, valuing the company at 38 billion. Juul in 2018 was doing 2 billion in revenue. Where Juul innovated was in the distribution of their product. They went hard on social media, partnering with a number of influencers, and they copied the old marketing strategy of cigarette ads from the 1960s and 70s, which used attractive female models to pose with Juul products. They used social media to target their tech millennials, but the problem with that was that Gen Z dominated platforms like Facebook and Instagram, and this led to an explosion of high school students vaping. Instead of pulling back out of this market, Juul doubled down on this strategy and bought a number of different advertisements on educational gaming platforms, crafting platforms, and directed their advertisements at middle and high school students. The FDA started to come down on Juul and ordered them to reduce some of the flavors that they were able to sell and ban them from advertising on social media. This significantly impacted the company. And in 2020, their market share fell from 76% to 42%. And in 2022, it was only 28% of the US market. This started the decline of Juul. There is some real questions about whether Juul still has a license to operate in America, as the FDA has banned them from operating in the US. There is a lot of learnings that we can take away from the Juul story. The first is naming the movement that you are creating. So Juul used Juuling to describe this new movement, and this was critical in creating a strong word of mouth marketing strategy, which is the best marketing strategy. They also knew who their target market was. Their target market was tech millennials originally. So they designed products that tech millennials like, which is Apple products. Another learning that we can take away from the Juul story is they copied the existing playbook that the tobacco companies used in the 1970s, which was using attractive female models to pose with cigarettes. Juul applied this to Instagram and it worked just as well as it did in the 1970s. This is something for us to learn and understand, and we need to be studying the history of our market that we are entering to see if there is an existing playbook out there that has been used by someone or that has been tried by someone, because the chances are that it still works today.